There it goes. Right, so yeah, we're going to stick with the cunning plan where we finished off last week, just for probably today, and then I'll start sort of varying it up a little bit. In fact, I'm just going to take this off now. It'll be warm very soon. So coming to standing at the end of your mat for our goblin squat. So hip distance or slightly wider, and then coming down, lifting the heels as you come down, let the knees go a little bit wider, drop one hand to the mat, and then twist and open up to the sky on the other side. You could brace your elbow against your knee to twist you around a little bit further, drop the hand and switch sides. Excuse me, coughing on my frog. And then bringing both hands down to the mat. We're going to walk out to plank. We're going to pause in our plank, and you're going to bring right elbow to right knee to right elbow. So let's go right knee, right elbow, left knee, left elbow. Bring it back. Lower the chest to the mat with as much control as you can manage. Try not to squash the cat. We'll stick with the plan as before. We're going to bring hands onto lower back, elbows to the mat. Then elbows high, swim the arms around. And at this point, your legs are slightly wider than hip distance. You're going to reach the arms, reach the legs, and lift up into a 4-point lift. Doesn't need to be high. You're just engaging the back line of the body. Feet and legs, calves, quads, everything tight and reaching. And then lower back down. Bring the hands a little bit closer for your cobra. Nice and gentle as you lift, first one in the morning. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Legs are still active. And then lower back down. The hands come under the shoulders so you can push up to 90-90. Let's go left leg over. 90-90. We're going to stay here. And if you need to close the gap a little bit, please do. But you're going to come into like a push up over your front leg. So you're going to bring one hand down in front of the knee, one hand down in front of the foot, and you're going to bring your chest forward. So take it into a little bit of a glute stretch. So just a variation of what we were doing last week. Release that, twist back round to the front leg and come back down onto your front, and then we go to the other side. So right leg comes over, you've got your 90-90. If you can't quite get over that front leg in 90, close the gap a little bit. So you can bring both hands, one in front of the knee, one in front of the foot, and pull the chest forward. And again, your Superwoman sign on the front of your shirt is staying lifted. So not dropping over, you're staying nice and lifted. And release, and again, hands come back down to the mat, all the way back over, push yourself back through. Okay, so I'm going to add on a little bit to this flexion and extension. So you want your feet to be slightly wider, maybe as wide as the mat. I'll explain why in a minute. Heels are up, and we're coming to that extension. So we're going to open the chest and open the knees, and you're right up on the balls of your feet, chest lifted, head lifted. A lot of balance, a lot of work in the lower legs. Now, when you round forward, ideally, you want your heels to come down so that you're in the bottom of a squat. So that when you come into this rounded position, the heels are actually on the floor. Now, for some of us, that's going to be a doddle. Some of us have got a full squat. Some of us haven't. So if your heels are up, that's okay. But if you can get them down, get them down. And then from there, we're going to lift the heels and come back to that extension. Easier said than done. Well done. Yeah. Then from there, bring the arms forward and come all the way up to standing. Your legs will probably protest a little bit. And give them a wiggle if you need to. You can come back narrow, you could come back and stay wide, whichever, but they're coming back down the same way. So heels are lifted, she says, at the bottom. Fell off my mat. And then bring one hand down to the mat, the other up to the sky to open. And then switching sides. And then walking out to our plank. Opposite knee to opposite wrist, or knee to opposite wrist. Switching sides. Lower the chest with control. Hands to the lower back. Swim them around. And then reach and lift. Hands a little bit closer for cobra. Nice and gentle still. Shoulders away from the ears. Lower it back down. Hands under shoulders. Let's go left leg. 90-90 twist. So you're facing your front leg, one hand either side, bring the chest forward. Release back down to the mat, straight over to the other side. Hands in front of the front leg, chest over the shin. And release back down to the mat. Back up to your squat position. Now see if you can find the squat position first. Like I say, your heels might be up. Or the other option is if your heels come down and you're up here, that's okay too. You know, you could be higher. So wherever you are in your squat is fine. So we're going to round first. Backs of the hands together, rounded spine, ears between your upper arms. And then as you open the arms, you lift the heels up. So you're in that balanced position. Tons of work through the feet and ankles. Great strengthener for the feet and ankles. Bring the arms forward. Come to standing. Good, good, good. All right. So same thing, going down. We're going to change it slightly, coming down into an elbow plank. So same thing, squat down, heels high, one hand down, one arm up. Switching sides. Walk out to your plank as per usual. And then from there, where your hands are, you're going to put your elbows. So we're just coming down into an elbow plank. Nothing too sinister about that. And we're going to transition into a side plank. So I'm going to come towards you. So my heels are going to go to one side, my hips are going to go, and my arm rotates as well. So in your side plank position. So just a variation on what we were doing last week. Now, if you could have your feet one in front of the other, you can have your feet stacked as a bit of a challenge. You can slide the top foot up and then release it back down. And then coming back, this bottom hand needs to rotate. So you come back to elbows, jiggery poker in the middle if you just need to readjust. And then over you go to the other side. Stack or bend the top leg. So just doing one leg movement. Slowly release. Come back through your plank and then lower the hips and then the chest. Same as usual, hands on the lower back. Lift the elbows, swim the arms around. 4-point lift. Release it back down into your cobra. Legs nice and active. Tense your quads. Release back down. Let's go left leg over for 90-90. Straight into the stretch over the front leg. Back down to the mat, straight over onto the right leg coming over. Hands in front of the front leg, chest coming forward. And release, come back down to the mat, push back. And again, come to your best deep squat, your best deep squat. And, you know, you could probably see me, I look down at my left foot's super turned out because I'm tighter on that side. My right foot's not so bad. I struggle to kind of get upright and be comfy in the bottom of this squat. But it's getting there, you know, it just takes time. So then we're going to round forward, backs of the hands together, head between the arms. And then opening the arms, lifting the heels, lifting the chest, holding that balance as best we can. Release and come to standing. Beautifully done. Good. All right. Oh, so last one. Going to stick with the same theme. We're going to march the legs in the side plank. You can just hold the side plank, or you can march with me. So same thing, down we go. Little goblin squat, one hand down, one arm up. Oh. Switching sides, twist. And release. Walk it out into your plank. When you're coming down onto your elbows, try your level best not to rock the hips from side to side. Try and stay super stable and still as you come down onto the elbows. Whichever side plank your choice, let the feet pivot, let the hips pivot, the bottom arm pivots. We hold. I'm going to bring the top leg towards the chest. So knee to chest and back down. Knee to chest and back down. 3, 2, 1. And then pivot back through center. So back through your plank. Again, readjust your feet if you need to. Pivot to the other side. You can hold or you can march. So we go 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Pivot back through plank, lower the hips. Breathe a sigh of relief. So we're going to call it there for that flow, and we're going to get into everything else. So coming up to all fours, toes are tucked under. I'm just going to find our static beast position here. And just let your shoulder blades come together on your back, elbows stay nice and straight, and then push the floor away to take the shoulder blades wide. So shoulder blades come together, chest sinks towards the floor, but the elbows stay locked out. Push the floor away, take them wide. Keep going with that movement. You're going to try and get as much shoulder blade movement as you can, but not enough that you go into a rounded position through the upper back. It's quite difficult to tell, but there'll be a natural stopping point of when the shoulder blades finish their movement before your spine gets involved. So all we're doing is activating the shoulder blades here. And then from there, you're going to take the hands and point the fingers out to the side and continue with that same movement. So shoulder blades coming together and apart, just a different hand position. Sometimes makes it easier, sometimes makes it harder, depends on you. And then bringing the fingertips to point towards the knees. Same thing, see if you can get your shoulder blades to move. And watch out for your shoulders creeping up to your ears. Yeah, this is not the movement that we're after with no neck. You've got to keep the shoulders away from the ears. Active shoulders, but with a bit of a wrist stretch as well. Last couple. Last one. Turn the hands back around and come to static beast position where the knees are roughly under. If you dropped a plumb line from your belly button, your knees would be on that line. Fingers are wide, lightly gripping the floor, toes are tucked, and you are at the top of that position. So you're not sagging into your shoulders, your neck is long, and you are pushing the floor away already. Grip the floor, activate your core, hover the knees an inch off the floor. So just active beast position. If you've got me big on the screen and you can't see yourself, just make sure you're not in this kind of tucked position. See if you can untuck. So tailbone to the sky. We hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release the knees back down. You can come off your wrists for a moment if you need to. And then we're going to find our loaded beast. So coming back to your static beast to begin with, hover the knees an inch off the floor, keep them there, take the hips or your bottom back to your heels, let the knees come slightly wider than the hips, and then walk or slide the hands away to your loaded beast position. We're going to unload from there, chin tuck, tail tuck, start to come forward, knees an inch off the mat, shoulders past wrists, pause, tighten the glutes, tighten the abs. Make sure you hold that position, find the ab work before you then take it back to loaded beast. Go again, chin stays tucked, tail tucked, Squeeze the glutes. And this is where you don't want to be collapsing into the shoulders. Push the floor away. Find those open shoulder blades. Take it back to your loaded beast. One more time, coming through. Squeezing the glutes. Checking that the knees are just hovering off the ground. Pushing the floor away. And then take it back. Lower the knees with control. You can drop the feet flat, big toes together, and just come into a child's pose position. It just takes you off your wrists for a moment. Wiggle from side to side. And then we're going to come back to beast. So I'm taking you into your loaded beast from a beast position, just because for some people it's actually easier if the knees are already off the floor, rather than try to get them off the floor from a child's pose position. But it's entirely your choice, right? So from here, we do the same thing. We activate, lift the knees, take the hips back, slide or walk the hands away, knees slightly wider than hips. Wave, unload. Lift the hips up high without traveling forward. Hips high, heels high. Curl the tail, tuck the chin, round forward. At the point at which you can't go any further forward, the hips lower, and the chin is the last thing to lift. Knees are off the floor. Tuck the chin. Lift the upper back. Round, round, around to lift, lift, lift. Heels high, hips high. And then bend the knees back to your loaded beast. Let them go wider than the hips. We go again. Lift the hips up high. High heels, high hips. Travel forward. Keeping the chin tucked. Keep the chin tucked, chin tuck, chin tuck. It's the very last thing to lift. It is the first thing to go because it helps you find your wave on the way back. All the way up, hips high, heels high, lower back down. I'm going to do one more. Off you go. Up, forward, lift the chin, tuck the chin, lift the upper back, mid back, lower back, up high, back down to your loaded beast. Lower the knees, point the toes, sink into child's pose. Again, bit of a wiggle if you want. Okay, so beast reach, which is the elbow touch. Put it in now before we get too tired. So again, your choice. I'm going to go from beast because I quite like it. It helps me get into the right position. So everything's set for static beast. Hover the knees. Take the hips to the heels, legs slightly wider. Walk or slide the hands away. Okay, so we go right leg beast reach. So as you lift the hips up high, the right heel comes to the butt, the knee to the chest, and make sure you've not traveled forward. So push the floor away. Start to travel forward, knee to chest until it comes to the outside the elbow. Press in, lift the chin, look forward. Press back, all the way up high first, and then keep the foot lifted as long as possible as you come back down to your loaded beast. We go again on the other side, right foot, sorry, left foot, whichever, opposite foot, up high. Knee to chest, heel to bum. Travel forward. Knee to the outside of the elbow, press it in, lift the head to look forward. Take it back up high. Come back down to your loaded beast. Rest the knees, point the toes, sink the hips back. So coming forward to beast, I'm going to do some under switches into crab reach. Crab or crab reach, your choice. So let's go left leg first. So set static beast, nice and wide through the fingers, gripping the floor, shoulders active, tailbone untucked. So let's just play with the under switches first. So pick up the knees to a hover, left leg under switch. So left foot lifts, right hand lifts. And we come all the way over into full crab. So the hand's coming down, full crab. Let's just check in with your position there. Your bottom should be an inch off the floor. Yeah, that's it, Andrea. You're already at the top of the crab at that point. So your bottom's an inch off the floor, chest is lifted, proud, and eyes gaze up to sort of the rising sun, as they like to call it. I'm going to go back the same way. So left leg under switch. So left foot lifts, right hand lifts, right heel comes up so that you pivot back to beast. We'll go again on the other side. So right leg under switch to crab, all the way over, hand comes down, bottom an inch off the floor, chest proud, gaze up. Going back the same way. So right leg under switch, so right leg, left hand, raise your left heel that lifts, press on the gas so that you can pivot on those toes and then lower the hips, not the hips, the knees. Just because I've got some kind of stone under my palm, which I can't find. Okay, same thing, but this time we'll go into a crab reach. So the hand doesn't come down this time. Yeah, so left leg under switch to crab reach. So pick up the knees, left leg under switch. The right hand is going to come in front of the face. Yep, blade in front of the face. Your feet should be slightly wider for a crab reach. So if you need to widen your stance, please do. Lift the hips, look at the ceiling, hand of the face pointed to the ceiling. If you're happy with all of that, then add in the reach. The gaze turns towards the floor, fingertips reach. Your top shoulder is aiming to be stacked on your bottom shoulder. That's the rotation. Gaze and hand back to the ceiling. Lower the hips back down. And then with left leg under switch back to beast. So press on the gas with the right foot. Left foot comes under. Straight back to your beast position. I'm going to go again on the other side. So right leg under switch to crab reach. Hand in front of the face. Lift the hips. Pause. If you've hit the full bridge and your hips open, add in the reach. Fingertips to the floor, looking down at the bottom hand. Breathe, she says. So gaze back to the ceiling, lower the hips back down, pick up the right foot, press on the gas with the left, pivot back to beast, and lower the knees. You sit back into your, whatever this is, child's pose, and rock from side to side. Oh. We've got one left at this moment in time. Actually, you know what? I'm going to mix it up, bollocks fit. Let's do a step through instead. Because I'm conscious I'm just going to be doing this later for you today, those of you that are in the stretch course. I think all three of you are booked on that, aren't you? Right, so while I'm waffling away to myself, come back to beast. Same thing, hover the knees. You're going to take the hips back, spread the knees, walk or slide the hands away. So here we're going to step forward, giant step forward with the right foot outside the right hand. And just see how that feels and where you get to, right? So if I don't put too much effort into this, my foot lands roughly inside or at the side of my hand. Can't really see from your perspective, but it's in line with my hands. What I actually want it to be is A, further forward, and B, slightly further out. So I've got this big space here, because ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to start bringing the leg through, right? So wherever you are there, just take your foot slightly wider and see if you could get it in front of your hand. So just see if you've got the mobility to do that. And you might need to bring the foot with your hand. I'll come to that position as well. So there is where I would usually land, next to my hand. I'm going to see if I could get it further forward and further out. And that's what we kind of been working on with this sort of movement of mobility out to the side. We've been working on these all this time, and this is kind of been where it's been heading. So let's try the other side. So we're going to go back to loaded beast. You're going to take that leg back where it came from. Come back to loaded beast. Now, when you go on the left side now, I want you to try and think about almost like you're throwing the leg forward. It's under control, but throw it forward as far as you can. wide and long. Nice, brilliant, look at that. Exactly that. And take it back again. All the way back to your loaded beast, right side, step through. Marvelous, take it back, all the way to loaded beast. Left, big giant step, fling it forward, yes. And take it back. Right side. Beautiful, take it back. Left side, just because I'm actually really enjoying this. Take it back, one more on the right side. Big step through. And we're going to hold it here. We're going to take it into that rotation. So you might want to bring your foot a little bit closer for this, just so your shin's more vertical. So we're going to take the same arm as the front leg up to the sky. So if it's right leg, it's right arm. Big twist. And you want to try and take your elbow to the floor inside the foot. It either will or it won't. And then we're going to step back just into plank, step forward with the left. It could be a little bit wider, but try and make it in line with your hands. You kind of want a more vertical shin, just for what we're doing here. Vertical shin, twist and open to the ceiling. And then bring the elbow to the mat as best you can. Come back up to plank. Step back to plank. Lower the knees with control. And just come down into a child's pose. And then we'll finish off with our pretzel. Coming onto one side. Top knee, bottom ankle, pull the bottom leg back. Open the chest to the sky. Breathe. No special instructions this morning, just hold and breathe. And slowly release out of that side. And we shall switch sides. Make sure you pull the bottom leg back as much as possible. And just see if you can relax into it. And each out breath, just see if you can rotate that a little bit more. It will only be tiny amounts. And then slowly release, unravel yourselves. Oh, and breathe a sigh of relief. I was going to say that's Monday done, but it's not Monday, it's Tuesday. Well done, chaps. Just a quickie while I've got you. I'll just unmute you all. In fact, let me stop the recording.